Earth's firefighters had long been seen by aliens as an oddity, a weird holdover from a previous age. From an advanced viewpoint, these people were unduly dependent on physical labor and crude implements. The notion of fighting fire using hose-sprayed water, scaling dangerous ladders, and using only human might they were perplexed as to why Earth hadn't created automated or needless firefighting systems. Since fire was no longer a threat in any of their highly developed civilizations, they recognized humanity's tenacity in continuing to view a career like firefighting as both humorous and ineffective from the alien vantage. Their technological prowess characterized their societies, and flames not only were they uncommon, they were impossible. Their atmospheres and cities were built of fireproof materials, managed to avoid burning, and their energy sources are made to be stable while keeping an eye on the heavy equipment, the steady stream of water, and the firemen actions made them feel as though they were witnessing an ancient ritual. Coordinated cries of command all appeared to be relics from a bygone era, belonging to a species that had not attained complete enlightenment, and their analysis went beyond casual mystery. Using advanced monitoring and observation, they carefully examined and documented firefighting operations on Earth. Incidents examined how people behaved and examined the instruments they used. They discovered that Earth's procedures are not sophisticated, as they were unable to understand why people would choose to face danger head-on when machines could be built to do so with ease. They believed that firefighters' bravery and camaraderie were superfluous in a world that ought to have resolved the fire issue by now. This viewpoint solidified their perception of Earth's civilizations as intrinsically faulty, overly reliant on emotional and physical labor. The aliens' contempt stemmed from a simple ignorance of their societies rather than from malice. Long placed a higher priority on technological effectiveness than anything else, thereby resolving an issue means completely eliminating the risk of Earth's erratic natural forces. And for them, relying solely on human labor to extinguish fires was a chaotic system. Specifically, a reactive rather than proactive solution seemed representative of this disarray. They made fun of humanity for seemingly failing to overcome these obstacles, yet their critique overlooked important facets of the firefighting profession on Earth, which humans perceived as resilience while they perceived as inefficiency. Firefighting was more than just putting out fires. It was an expression of human bravery, adaptation, and determination. Earth's societies were profoundly rooted in the concept of protecting others at any costs. Firefighters weren't just employees. They were heroes who put themselves in risk when others fled, exemplifying the concepts of unity and selflessness were both physically and metaphorically foreign to creatures who had never known the unpredictable nature of fire or the necessity for people to safeguard their most valuable possessions. Even though they were ridiculed, the aliens were captivated and kept copious notes of firefighting situations ranging from minor home fires to massive forest fires. They were astounded by the human capacity to adjust to different obstacles, and forest fires in particular piqued them. The difficulty of organizing activities over large regions, the utilization of air support, and the strategic importance of this contained effort, and all for foreigners. Even though the planning involved was unlike anything they had ever experienced, they were nonetheless fascinated, but also incredulous. The aliens couldn't see why humanity hadn't eliminated the circumstances that led to these catastrophes. Was the human emotional dimension of firefighting? It was about more than just putting out flames. Firefighters frequently put their own lives in danger to preserve the community and history, lives to protect family heirlooms, help strangers, or make sure cultural landmarks survived the instruments they used. Although primitive by foreign standards, each hose was an extension of this philosophy. Numerous hours of creativity, training, and cooperation were symbolized by the ladder and fur truck. But the aliens overlooked these subtleties in favor of concentrating on what they saw as inefficiencies in their observations. As they went on and their assessments became more thorough, They divided our firefighting activities into different scale types. As a result, they argued among themselves as to whether humanity's endeavors were praiseworthy or only representative of hybrid species. Some claimed that Earth's firefighters were a species trapped in an evolutionary rut, showed a special kind of flexibility and strength in dealing with predictable delays. However, some contended that the necessity for such flexibility was proof of Earth's inferiority. Despite their disagreements, the aliens had a basic misunderstanding. Avoided fire by avoiding it, not by being courageous or creative. They never had to face catastrophe directly, so the notion of sprinting toward whatever was causing the problem in the first place was unconscious to the human mind. They valued precision, efficiency, and control qualities because danger was unfathomable. Thought humans lacked, yet what they perceived as shortcomings and abilities gave them virtues. Because of the unpredictable nature of the Earth's environment, humanity has evolved into a species that can perform amazing feats. When the aliens studied under pressure, they started to see patterns they hadn't expected to see. Firefighters collaborating with a tacit understanding. Their coordination was nearly automatic. Seen firemen console themselves at calm moments of resolve in the face of enormous odds. Victims lamented losses and rejoiced in victories, qualities that couldn't be measured or recreated by machines. Yet the aliens continued to chalk it off without understanding its importance. Their ridicule of Earth's quirks continued, but so did their interest in spite of, however. They couldn't help but question whether they were lacking anything after studying so many different civilizations across universes. But Earth's firefighting customs were unique. They couldn't fully resolve a conflict with their conception of efficiency and advancement while discounting Earth's techniques as antiquated. A tiny but rising portion of their collective consciousness started to wonder if there was more to humanity, and what they once found was an intriguing case study of how the advanced races of humanity were worthy of attracting and being disgraced by other races. It had a feel of higher technology without introducing morality, like before society was more conceited than at present, as they thought they were. Their systems were perfect, and fire was a remnant of a route they had long before given up on without realizing it. What they perceived as humanity's vulnerability turned out to be its greatest asset, its capacity to adapt to the unpredictable, and endured that insight. But it was still out of their grasp at the moment. Unaware of how rapidly their viewpoint would be compelled to alter the alien colony, they could only observe and make fun of it. A marvel of sophisticated engineering and technological accomplishment, it had been tucked away on a far-off planet, perfectly planned. With every detail carefully considered to reduce danger, its buildings were constructed from electrical to forest materials, save money on fuel, and save time on building a good path or trail. Its porticos were resistant to wear, and its surroundings were controlled to avoid fire as a menace from unanticipated natural calamities had long since been eliminated. The colony's residents had never seen it and thought it was an old issue that was confined to less advanced societies, thought their institutions were perfect, and the colonies flourished in this feeling of safety for decades, and its residents lived their lives without considering crises, catastrophes, or unforeseen circumstances that society had developed in a manner that prioritized preventative actions and proactive problem solving, while reactive reactions were. This blind gap was caused by the reliance on technological supremacy that was judged unneeded. Over time, their cultural and practical expertise of how to handle unforeseen situations diminished. The catastrophe started as a small issue with the colony's central energy hub, which should have been a minor problem in the electrical infrastructure, rapidly became unmanageable. Colony systems intended to preserve balance in optimal circumstances were unable to make up for a rare due to a number of factors. The temperature in one area suddenly increased, starting a chain reaction of system malfunctions. A spark started a fire that spread in a matter of minutes. The fire disregarded the colony's protections and spread alarmingly quickly, devouring materials believed to be impenetrable to combustion, a result that automated suppression had not foreseen. Systems were turned on, however they were set up, for sporadic events rather than major crises in the colony. Residents used to living in complete control and security were paralyzed, since there were no procedures for such a situation, no qualified staff to manage it, and no tools to stop the escalating inferno. Panic swiftly became apparent to the populace that the mechanisms they had relied on for generations were not working for them. Emergency protocols were rarely tested, and communications networks were overloaded. Proven insufficient, the quick spread of the fire revealed weaknesses in the colony's infrastructure that had never taken into account. Whole sectors were swallowed up, and with every impermeability, when the damage increased, attempts to use the colony's sophisticated technology to put out the fire became futile. When faced with chaos, machines built for accuracy and efficiency failed because their algorithms were unable to adjust to the unpredictable nature of the fire's behavior. Attempts to use automated mechanisms to isolate and put out the flames simply made matters worse. These systems weren't ready for the disaster's magnitude and severity. The colony's leadership, which was made up of engineers and scientists rather than crisis managers, found it difficult to make decisions made in real time. The catastrophe revealed the colony's harsh reality. Had grown overly dependent on its technology, and in their pursuit of perfection, they had failed to take into consideration that they were unable to live without it. For metal as each molecule was, it was even more difficult to manufacture again in a magnitude of unprecedented scale. Responsibilities that were previously crucial for collaboration, flexibility, and discernment. In their well-regulated environment, resourcefulness had lost its significance. As the fire gradually accumulated under their control, the same cautionary principles of responsibility and growth mindset as the fire exposed to them through exertion in their well-regulated environment, resourcefulness had lost its significance, were inhospitable, and the critical systems that kept the colony afloat were in danger. As the colony's atmosphere deteriorated, evacuation became necessary, although even this was fraught with problems. Because the colony's evacuation protocols, which were never put to the test in actual circumstances, turned out to be disorganized, and thousands of residents were uprooted due to inefficiency, not knowing where to go or how to survive outside the regulated surroundings. They had always understood that the fire posed more than just a physical danger, as symbolized a breakdown of the colony's fundamental tenet, which was that technology could resolve any issue. Being confronted in the most terrible manner by the people who had previously written off Earth's firefighters as archaic, of a less developed past, now found themselves in a circumstance that called for the exact abilities and bravery they had long mocked, and they didn't know how to face a fire. Not having the tools to combat it, or a cultural memory of how to handle a crisis like that. As colony leaders discussed their alternatives, they were presented with a difficult decision and continued to rely on their failing mechanisms or go for outside assistance. This choice was difficult since they had to acknowledge their incapacity to control the catastrophe would be a challenge to their sense of supremacy and a shock to their dignity. But as the flames proceeded to gradually, the leaders came to the realization that their advanced systems were their only option, which they had assumed to be unfailing, had let them down, and they had to face the fact that their survival relied on outside assistance. And following extensive discussion, the colony's leadership chose the decision to send aid to Earth was greeted with conflicting responses from the populace. Some viewed it as an essential action. Although some saw it as a failure confession, the communication was sent outlining the extent of the catastrophe and asking for quick assistance. They were aware that the reaction they needed would come from the very profession they had previously disregarded, not from machines or sophisticated algorithms. When primitive firefighters asked for assistance, it was a moment of humility and a turning point. Acknowledgement that their sophisticated technology had limitations for the colony's residents, who had spent their whole existence in a bubble of technical supremacy, suddenly had to deal with the possibility of depending on creatures they had previously derided. Compelled to admit that firefighters on Earth had a combination of things that their advanced technology did not. experienced human intuition and the ability to bravely face the unknown. As the request was sent, the colony's leaders could only pray that Earth would act quickly because the fire was still raging and threatened to destroy the colony. The colony was once a symbol of perfection and progress because of everything they had constructed. The residents, now on the verge of collapse, were so desperate that they started to doubt the fundamentals of the catastrophe. And for 6 months, the police department heavily forced the catastrophe happen by working to establish Wi-Fi so that the public suspension would be lowered. The irony of their circumstances wasn't lost on them, despite unforeseen obstacles. The very abilities and traits they had written off as needless bravery. As they waited, their only remaining chances of life were flexibility and cooperation. Earth's reaction was that they started to appreciate what they had formerly ridiculed, even though the fire had compelled them to face their own shortcomings and reevaluate the significance of qualities they had long disregarded. They had discovered a terrible lesson that would change the way they saw development and the part that people play in overcoming hardship. The word from the alien colony was met with urgency and determination by Earth's firefighters. Leaders had made it apparent that cutting-edge technology by itself was not enough to stop the fire's devastation. Firefighters prepared for the mission since it was outpacing their systems and eating their colony at an alarming rate. Recognizing the seriousness of the situation and the particular difficulties they would soon encounter, the first step was to adjust their techniques and tools to the foreign environment. This necessitated close cooperation between Earth's scientists, engineers, and firefighters examined the materials, atmosphere, and structure of the alien colony. In order to determine the fire's behavior under these strange circumstances, it became evident that traditional firefighting methods needed to be modified, such as the colony's components in the atmosphere that increased combustion and acquired new suppressants. In order to combat these conditions, specific chemical suppressants were created. And the equipment that was already in place was modified to operate efficiently in the foreign setting. After integrating their efforts with the alien technologies that made up the colony's infrastructure was a difficult assignment for firemen. Radically different from everything on Earth, with enclosed spaces, vertical cities, and networked energy grids traversing these strange configurations as they relied on their understanding of the scientific process behind them. People with transplant disorders, firefighters, relied on their instruction to select areas that require urgent attention, evaluate risks, and coordinate activities across the wide. This ability to adapt, developed over years of coping with Earth's erratic flames, became their unique communication, the colony's greatest strength. Created another difficulty. They had never worked with humans before, and their idea of teamwork was very different from Earth's. A firefighter presented techniques for effective and transparent communication in times of emergency, in order to create a chain of command and make sure that resources and efforts were coordinated. They collaborated with extraterrestrial technicians. When distributed efficiently, the firefighters' focus on teamwork and shared accountability were crucial, and as operations got underway, the firefighters came across a fire that was different from whatever they had encountered prior. The alien material's resistance produced hazardous fumes and extreme heat when burned. Therefore, conventional protection equipment was insufficient, necessitating ongoing modifications to ensure safety. Firemen regularly switched squads to. This method guaranteed consistent attempts to control fatigue and avoid exposure to hazardous situations. One of the most important tactics was to isolate the Earth firefighters without endangering their health, employed containment techniques and barricades to stop the flames from advancing into critical places. Was especially difficult in a colony that was vertical, where fire may spread swiftly through interconnected structures. To assess the damage, locate hotspots, and administer suppressants to inaccessible areas, they used state-of-the-art drones. Although these technologies were advanced, the firefighters' skill in effectively utilizing them made the evacuation of the colony was another crucial component of their response. People who weren't used to such crises found it difficult to navigate the pandemonium on Earth. Firefighters planned and carried out evacuations directing people to safety and making sure nobody was abandoned. They set up makeshift shelters in undamaged areas, offering fundamental needs and a feeling of safety for the displaced. This mix of strategic performance and productivity? Throughout the procedure, the colony's residents were profoundly impacted by human kindness. Firefighters showed incredible fortitude and inventiveness by adjusting to obstacles. Whether it was unforeseen fire behavior, equipment failure, or logistics issues, every challenge had a solution. Whether it was through teamwork or improvisation, experience's quick thinking, which is a hallmark of their field, highlighted their worth in a crisis. Where inflexible mechanisms had failed, relentless teamwork was necessary. Firefighters worked together as a team, coordinating their efforts to optimize the colony's residents, who saw the firemen's capacity for coordination, were not blind to this unity. What most impressed them under pressure was how unafraid each firefighter was to trust their fellow firefighters. Blindly depending on years of instruction and a common goal, this trust, along with linketry as the fire started to go out, their commitment became a poignant illustration of human resilience in the face of hardship. Firefighters collaborated with the colony's engineers as the emphasis moved to recovery and repair. Restore damaged systems and stop additional occurrences. They possess expertise in fire safety and response. Assisting the colony in creating procedures to reduce potential hazards, this knowledge sharing was a game changer. As the colony started to appreciate Earth's firefighters for their immediate work, as well as the more general principles they taught in the wake of the operation, demonstrated how profoundly the colony's residents had changed. Previously doubtful of Earth's techniques, they now viewed the firefighters as heroes, acknowledged that not all issues could be resolved by technology alone, and that human traits like courage, flexibility, and working as a team had been crucial to surviving a catastrophe that had almost destroyed their house. Changed their perspective on progress by emphasizing the value of resiliency and the capacity to face the firemen. Unexpected efforts created a lasting legacy. Presence in the colony generated discussions over the harmony between human labor and technology. Residents started looking into how to apply these lessons to their own systems. After realizing that even the best, advanced societies could pick up knowledge from others, and the partnership between the colony and Earth created a newfound respect and a feeling of unity as the firefighters' task came to an end, returned to Earth with the colony rescued, and a cultural divide reduced as a result of their efforts. That the strength of humanity was its capacity to overcome obstacles with tenacity and resourcefulness. The extraterrestrial as a collective community had achieved peace. The colony, which had previously disregarded Earth's techniques, now recognized the need of these qualities after the fire had tried both societies, and in doing so, it had strengthened their bonds, demonstrating that even cooperation and respect for one another might overcome any obstacle in the expanse of the galaxy. The aftermath of the trip was a watershed in the extraterrestrial colony's understanding of Earth. The immediate threat having been addressed, but the disaster's lessons persisted, and the colony's residents started to consider the basic deficiencies in their readiness, realizing that their dependence on cutting-edge technology had abandoned them, exposed in unexpected ways, making it evident that technical advancement by itself was not a protect against every danger. Earth's firefighters' agility and resiliency showed the crucial significance of human ingenuity in the face of the disaster's unpredictable nature. The colony to reevaluate its strategies and priorities for generations' attention had focused on using automation and design to solve issues, thinking that perfection could be attained by. This way of thinking had influenced every facet of their civilization, from infrastructure to knowledge, but the fire brought this mindset's limitations to light. That unexpected events could cause even the most carefully designed systems to malfunction, and when they did, the ability to react efficiently, which calls on inventiveness and judgment. When the colony started to rebuild, its leaders tried to include the things that couldn't be encoded into machines. Using the information and techniques that Earth's firefighters had imparted, they started a comprehensive overhaul of their emergency methods for preparedness that include automated and human components. One of the first stage was to create a special emergency response unit that was based on the firefighting squads on Earth, taught not only how to use sophisticated equipment, but also how to develop the human traits that were so important, such as cooperation, communication, and prompt decision-making amid the crisis, are also important. The colony's approach to risk changed. Previously, the emphasis had been on completely preventing calamities. The fire had illustrated the risks of this, frequently at the expense of preparing for the worst-case scenarios. Strategy. The colony started stressing the value of backup plans, making sure that systems were created with redundancy and that the populace has fundamental understanding of how to react to unofficial emergencies. Education initiatives were implemented to instruct residents in risk mitigation, problem solving, and the beyond pragmatic actions. The cultural shift emphasized the importance of proactive thought. A greater comprehension of the human experience and its applicability to their own lives had been spurred by the fire. Once skeptical of Earth's techniques, the colony's residents now witnessed, they saw them as a source of insightful information and realized that Earth's firefighters have traits that surpass technological attributes based on a common goal, compassion, and ultimately, this insight sparked a renewed appreciation for humanity and a desire to promote more cooperation. In the months after the catastrophe, a formal alliance was formed between Earth and the colony. Centered on information sharing, Earth provided its knowledge of disaster response, while the colony made contributions its technical developments to enhance Earth's firefighting capabilities. This partnership led to inventions that were advantageous to both communities, such as the colony's advanced material science. The colony started actively seeking partnerships with other civilizations because of its openness to learn from them. Realizing that cooperation and a range of perspectives were necessary to handle the complexity of an Earth's ever-changing universe, the experience reaffirmed the significance of protecting and appreciating human-centered occupations, such as firefighting, in a world where automation is taking over. And the trip to the alien colony with artificial intelligence was a compelling illustration of why human abilities and irreplaceable firefighters were honored for more than simply their valor. However, their success in the alien colony highlighted the unique viewpoint they brought to problem resolution. Their work's universal significance encourages fresh training investments and innovation in the sector. News of the firefighters' deeds traveled throughout the galactic community, extending the mission's legacy, dispelling myths about the planet and its inhabitants, whereas humanity was previously thought to be less technologically advanced, which was utilized to increase the production of efficient fire-resistant gear while taking into account Earth's extensive catastrophe management experience. The partnership's creation of more flexible emergency response mechanisms for the colony also impacted wider consequences for the colony's perception of its position in the cosmos. The fire had been a humiliating event that forced its residents to face the boundaries of their understanding and potential. It acted as a reminder that no society, no matter how developed, was impervious to difficulties. This insight promoted a stronger sense of interconnectedness and it was now regarded as a culture possessing special qualities like bravery and tenacity. Shown throughout the crisis, came to represent the possibility of cross-cultural cooperation and species. This change in perspective created new chances for Earth to interact with other societies, The fire also had a long-lasting effect on how both civilizations perceived solidarity in the face of common difficulties. For the extraterrestrial colony, growth served as a reminder that development encompassed more than just new technology, about adaptation, resilience, and the ability to grow from mistakes for the benefit of Earth. It served as a confirmation of the timeless worth of both human labor and inventiveness, changed how both civilizations view the future by highlighting the significance of striking a balance between innovation and humility. With cooperation in the years that followed, the colony turned into a prototype for combining technical and human strengths. The disaster's lessons were incorporated in the rebuilt infrastructure, which had systems engineered to be both. The existence of a distinct emergency response unit, which was sophisticated and flexible, represented the change in priorities, while continued cooperation with Earth made sure that the fire's lessons were remembered. The alliance between the two worlds are deepened in the novel, characterized by a shared dedication to learning from and overcoming obstacles together. The alliance between the two worlds are deepened, and the novel introduces youth into the lives of the plagued, too, which was recounted as an illustration of how hardship may spur development, and how various societies, in spite of their differences, can working together to get the alien colony beyond even the most difficult challenges. It was a pivotal moment when they embraced the entire range of technology and stopped depending on it. It served as evidence of what it means to be resilient for Earth and the ongoing significance of human endeavor. Together, they demonstrated the universal qualities of courage, adaptation, and unity. Making progress involved more than just conquering obstacles. It also involved strengthening relationships. The mission's completion was an important turning point for the extraterrestrial colony and Earth, as well as for the greater comprehension of cooperation and resilience in light of the events that transpired. Reframed the story to emphasize the importance of human creativity, flexibility, and cross-cultural interaction in both communities. Had a better understanding of their own strengths and weaknesses as a result of the experience, opening the door for significant changes and the way they dealt with difficulties and interacted with each other for the alien colony. The experience served as a basis for systemic transformation and cultural reflection, as they realized that their dependence on technology has led to complacency, making them unprepared for situations requiring quick thinking. In response, traditional solutions started incorporating the concepts of redundancy and flexibility into their systems, such as the creation of modular technologies that may operate autonomously when systems malfunctioned, manual override options were added to empower people. These modifications to their crisis decision-making process marked a substantial shift from their prior mindset, which had given smooth automation precedence above the ability to react to uncertainty. The colony also emphasized the development of abilities that had not been present during the catastrophe training courses that were presented to teach resource management, problem-solving under pressure, and the value of teamwork in high-stress situations. These courses placed an emphasis on both technical proficiency and soft skills, which were crucial throughout the firefighting. Mission trust, communication, and decision-making speed. Despite the lack of information, the intention was to make sure that future generations would be prepared to deal with crises. Using a combination of technology assistance and human intuition, the partnership with Earth extended beyond disaster. One of the main priorities was the creation of collaborative research in response to other areas of shared interest. Programs designed to increase resilience in both worlds. These programs examined developments in energy systems, built to reduce the possibility of catastrophic failures, fire-resistant materials, and a framework for making decisions constituting right decisions assisted both international and interplanetary emergency cooperation. Communities cultivating a mindset of collective advancement and creativity on Earth, the mission's success reaffirmed the worldwide significance of occupations like firefighting and brought attention to the vital role of people who have been taught to face danger head-on and adjust to complicated issues that governments and organizations face. Responded by boosting funding for research, training initiatives, and equipment. The mission's results also inspired a renewed interest in using other viewpoints to solve problems. Using foreign technologies and techniques to improve firefighting capabilities was one way to solve this. Highlighting the necessity of cooperation, Across disciplines, animals, and cultures to tackle common issues, this change paved the way for more comprehensive partnerships and a more coordinated strategy to address global and interstellar concerns. One of the most important results was the formal alliance's formation. This alliance between Earth and the extraterrestrial colony was established on the basis of respect for one another and a shared dedication to mutual learning, which included cultural education as well as emergency preparedness. Exchange and cooperative exploration initiatives, including in the case of the genealogic systems, proved to be of incredible value in driving deep understanding of the galaxies and leading to the development of such key technologies as the HFY, the exploration colony, and other discoveries. Civilizations, illustrating how collaboration can foster development and resiliency. The teachings, changes in Earth's and the alien colony New York's educational institutions were also spurred by lessons learned from the trip. The curriculum placed a strong emphasis on the value of flexibility, critical thinking, and teaching pupils about the project as a case study in global and interplanetary collaboration. On Earth, in order to solve problems on the alien colony, they had to take human viewpoints into consideration. These educational reforms, which emphasize innovation and resilience, are meant to equip future generations to deal with an impossible. The mission's cultural impact was as significant in a world that is becoming more linked and unpredictable. Images of Earth's firefighters in the alien colony grew to represent bravery and ingenuity, and they were praised rather than not only for their technical proficiency, but also for their capacity to collaborate under extreme duress. Exhibiting traits, the expedition served as a reminder of humanity's ability to make the shift that the colony aimed to replicate on Earth. Significant contributions on an interstellar and global level, it reaffirmed how crucial it is to protect and value the attributes that contributed to the mission's success, including empathy, resourcefulness, and a readiness to confront obstacles head-on. Throughout the years after the mission, Earth and the extraterrestrial colony remained cooperative. Building on the mutual respect and understanding that had developed throughout the crisis, this partnership also addressed larger issues like resource management due to climate change and the investigation of sustainable technologies. The collaboration turned into a ray of hope, demonstrating how many communities could unite to address difficult issues and accomplish common objectives. The tale of the trip turned into a compelling story that inspired people and communities on both planets. It was recounted and repeated as an illustration of what could be accomplished with bravery, teamwork, and flexibility in the face of adversity. The mission's significance extended beyond its immediate results, impacting how both civilizations view obstacles, embrace diversity, and strive for a future that is more resilient. And linked in the end, the mission demonstrated that being resilient meant not only surviving a disaster, but also coming out of it stronger and more linked. It served as a sobering reminder to the alien colony of the value of human traits they had previously disregarded. It was a confirmation for Earth of the lasting significance of human ingenuity and the universality of working together. The two societies showed that advancement was a shared goal rather than an individual one. The first journey necessitated embracing both the indispensable attributes of people and the advantages of technology.